an ever-changing world, Off Hollywood Media presents a voice of truth and inspiration, resonating a vibration of love and understanding, illuminating new paths for new directions, as we, as one, strive for higher and higher levels of consciousness, always remembering life changes. And now, your host, our MC, our master of change, Filippo Voltaggio.
Ciao, everyone. Life changes indeed, and life is going to change today for all of us, including myself, because I am going to be tested. Actually, frankly, I feel like I'm being tested every single minute of the day, and we've talked about that, and I'm sure we'll talk about it again. But today it's going to be a test of a different kind. We're going to see what music does to me, and I am great with that because I know music does so much, and I am part of that. I feel very much a part of that, and so many of my friends are, and I'm so excited that I have a new friend who is very much a part of that, and his name is Mark Romero, who's a professional and personal development leader, but most importantly for me and the show is that he uses sound therapy technology. So we're going to play some of his music. As a matter of fact, he's going to play some of his music, and then we're going to test to see what it does to me. Actually, unbeknownst to him, I've already tested some of it on me, and I'm going to tell him during the show what happened, and all of you as well. But before we get into that, thinking about our guest today, I've been wanting to share with all of you, actually, during a live show. I almost told this story once, that my brother and I, when we were really little, he had a radio kit. Actually, before I tell you that, has it ever happened to you that you're in the car driving, listening to the radio, back when we used to listen to the radio, maybe I should say, before we just would plug in our iPhones or iPods or whatever, MP3 players, but you're driving around listening to a song, and all of a sudden, but you're singing another song in your head, or you're walking to your car singing a song, and then you get in the car and you turn on the car radio, and that song is playing on the radio, and you think, wow, what a coincidence. It used to happen to me all the time when I was little, and I used to share that with my family, and they'd say, wow, what a coincidence. I wish somebody would have told me it's not a coincidence. I wish somebody would have said, we're tuned in. We can tune in. We're nothing but frequency. I wonder what would have happened all this time if I had been aware of just that. Because now as an adult, I'm looking back at the time that my older brother and I built a little crystal radio. He had a kit that was gifted to him by somebody. And in it, I'm trying to remember exactly what it had. It had a crystal, which I didn't know what it was at the time. It looked like a little piece of glass. It was clear crystal, quartz, a copper wire, a steel bar. I mean, nothing too extravagant, really. And I remember wrapping that copper wire around the crystal or around the bar or something. All of a sudden, we started picking up static, and then we actually could hear the radio. I mean, there was a speaker that came with it too, but I mean, there are other ways of doing speakers, but this was for kids. It had a little speaker, but I mean, excuse me, a little crystal rock, a copper wire, and a metal bar. I mean, these are all like minerals and iron and, I mean, copper. How come these things are more important than I am? And don't I have all those things inside of me? I mean, aren't I maybe one big, huge antenna? And we've got all those minerals. I mean, I take my Flintstone vitamins every day, and I've got, okay, not anymore, but I've got those minerals inside of me. So maybe I'm a radio, and maybe I'm an antenna. Maybe I'm a speaker. Maybe my ear is like a headset already. I mean, after all, these things that we create are extensions of ourselves. So if we could tune a rock and a copper wire into a frequency that could pick up what's in the air, then we could certainly tune into music or whatever's in the air and pick it up before we even turn on the radio. So I wish somebody would have told me that, because then I would have been thinking other things up until now. But now I'm thinking other things. But And I'm hoping that we all start to think other things, because there are other things going on. We just haven't really seen how important these other things really are. We've never really focused on what we truly are, and how we're frequency, and how we're receptors, and how we can pick up all of this stuff. So all the music going on, all the voices, and actually now especially there's other stuff going on that's out there that we're also picking up on that's not so good. And I know that our guest tonight, Mark Romero, is going to talk about that because we're picking it up and it's affecting us. So the other thing that I was thinking about as I was getting ready for this show today is about 2 or 3 years ago, I met a very authentic performer from Naples. Her name is Alessandra Belloni, and she does drumming, the ancient Italian. Actually, it's Italian. It's more Neapolitan, and it even goes back before I think the Neapolitan culture was established. So it goes back pretty far. And she does this type of drumming that, while I was in this workshop and lecture, she was sharing that the musicians used to do to help heal people. And I, of course, was very curious about that. And so I ended up listening and asking a lot of questions. And then later on, she referred me to a book called La Terra del Rimorso, which in English is The Land of Remorse by Ernesto de Martino. And in it, in that book and several other books, they talk about how at one point the musicians were the doctors and the shamans. When somebody was sick in that culture, in that time, who knows how far back, one called the musician, not the doctor, not the shaman. One called the musician because the musician was the doctor and the shaman. And what the musician would do, or the group of musicians, would come and stand by the bed of the person and start to play music, and play all night if they had to, until the person got well. I was just fascinated by that. And I wanted to know more, so I did my research, and of course I talked to her and all that. And what the story was is that the really good musicians, it would take them less time because they would know what song to play, or better yet, in what key to play the song over and over and over again, or various songs in the same key or various keys to heal the person. And I thought, wait a minute, where has that gone? That was in my culture, being Italian-American, that was in my parents' culture, that was traditional to them that you would call the musician to heal you, and I, as a musician, don't know anything about that. And us, in modern age, with all this technology available to us, we don't know anything about this? It would seem to me that it would be the most amazing thing to be able to heal people through music. And so this stuff that we're going to talk about today is very new to so many of us, but it has been around on our planet for years, and maybe many years even before this author writes about. So I'd like to I'd like to say that my hat's off to anybody who is bringing this information out. Actually, my hat's off to me, I guess, because I'm bringing this information out today. No, but seriously, we are having this conversation. I'm so excited because we are a radio. We are computers. Everything is, these are just extension of us. We could do so much. We could tune in so much, and that we are doctors and shamans, those that are musicians and other healing modalities as well. But today we're talking about music, and I am so glad that we are, because our guest is so much about that. Well, with that, I want to remind everybody that you're listening to Life Changes with Filippo, and that I am Filippo, and I am very happy to be here this evening with you all on the BBS Radio Network. And you can learn more about us at www.lifechanges.ws, and there you'll find our Facebook page and our YouTube page and our Twitter pages and all that, so that we can stay in contact and have these kinds of conversations that are so important in this day and age. I feel that, to me, is Life Changes. So with that, I'm excited to introduce our guest, who's a personal and professional development leader. He is Mark Romero and is recognized as a global leader in both personal and professional development for individuals and organizations through his proprietary sound therapy technology, which we are going to get to hear and experience today. As both business professional and creator, he developed a unique process that is revolutionizing how individuals create higher levels of success, improve their health, there we go, and enhance their productivity. His scientific breakthrough, and I mean scientific because it's been studied by scientists, his scientific breakthrough is expressed through his unique musical notes and tones. This tool is a proprietary blend of specific sound frequency that successfully assists individuals to reduce stress. Could there possibly be any more S's in this sentence? Listen to this. This tool. Mark is laughing. He's sitting right next to me. Listen to this sentence. It's a radio host nightmare. This tool is a proprietary blend of specific sound frequencies that successfully assists individuals to reduce stress, supercharge performance, and heighten creativity. Mark has successfully led, yes, you can applaud, has successfully led high-impact solutions for thousands of individuals, entrepreneurs, and organizations, and an easy-to-use format that accommodates most lifestyles. In other words, his medicine goes down real smooth. And with that, we have Mark Romero on the show.
Thank you. That's too much. I never even noticed all those S's before, but I feel better now because I got them all done for the day.
I'm the one that said them, not you.
Well, I listened to them, so, it's all good.
It is all good. So, you come from, what your cultural background is what?
I'm a recovered corpoholic. 19 years in the semiconductor industry, ascended the corporate ladder from entry level to CEO. And so that's my background, very traditional left brain, analysis of paralysis, analytical, you name it.
And you're here in this place. And knowing how that kind of mind works, because I've been there myself, if it doesn't scientifically hold water, you throw it out the window.
Absolutely.
So for you to be in this place means so much more to me and to people that are skeptics, let's say.
Absolutely. I mean, when I go out and when I do presentations and I demonstrate and I talk to people about sound therapy and how this is the coming age is getting back to, like you were talking about with the book that you had mentioned about sound therapy being a tool to help people heal their lives. And people are skeptical, and I laugh. I go, you know what? Nobody is as skeptical as I was when I first found out about this. Because I had to literally go through a tremendous amount of resistance, going, what is this? Quantum physics, energy, what is this stuff all about? Sounds pretty frou-frou and airy-fairy to me. So I really had to break through a lot of resistance and open myself up. And once I did, I'm like going, oh my gosh, this is pretty amazing. And but it was a process. And I'd like to say it was happened easily and effortless, but thank God my wife's not here because she would have a different take on that story. So.
Well, actually, I like your wife's take on this story. As a matter of fact, this is, a tribute to a true partner in support of who you came to be in this lifetime. Because as I know your story, and correct me if I'm wrong, because it sounds wrong to me, but you were making your company was $15 million strong, and you were doing well and all that stuff, and your wife said, "Cut this out. You're here to live your dream."
Absolutely.
Something like that. You tell the story.
Well, I thought I was living the dream, being that, in society, in the modern day world, we're told you go get an education, you get a job, you work your way up the ladder, you make all kinds of money, grow your portfolio, you get a nice shiny car, and a big home, you'll be happy, content, and fulfilled. And I had done all that. And I'm like, oh, wait a second. Why am I not happy? Why am I not content? Why am I not fulfilled? And it kind of reached a peak when I came home one night. And, for those of us that are in relationships, we know that our significant others can communicate so much with just a look.
Uh-huh.
And my wife had the look. And I'm like going, man, she's going to hit me with something, a piece of truth. I'm probably not going to want to hear it, but here it comes. And she just looked at me in the eyes and said, listen, I don't give a damn how much money you're making. I look in your eyes and you're dead. When are you going to have the courage to go for the dream? And immediately as a man, I'm starting to formulate in my head 50 ways that I could debate with what her comment was, even though I knew it was the truth. And I'm like, oh, man, she's right. Again, ever since as far back as I can remember, as a 2-year-old, I remember my mom telling me the story, pounding on the podium, delivering the message of God, and that was my thing. That was something I always wanted to help people on their journey through life.
Wait, you were on a podium talking at 2 years old?
At 2 years old, pounding on the podium. My mom tells me the story, giving the sermon of the day.
Really?
And, and it was something I always wanted to do, but, what happened? We're told to go get a job and rationalize our dreams and put them on the back burner. You can't do that. You got to go make a living. And so that's what I did until the discomfort just got so much where I said, in this conversation that I had in the hallway, I went in and told my partners, that's it, I'm done. I've got to go for the dream. I'm not getting any younger. You know what? I've got to go for it because Lord help me if I get to the day, my last day on this earth, and I didn't go for the dream. So I went for the dream, took the leap.
Before we go there, I have to argue with you on something. You just said, I'm not getting any younger. I know how old you are, and there's no way you could be that old looking the way you look. So I have a feeling you looked older before, and you are getting younger. So
actually, it's funny because people see me that knew me 8 years ago, and they go, "You look younger now than you did back then."
See?
And I'm like, kind of going, "Well,
you are getting younger."
My own mother looks at my hair. She goes, "Are you sure you don't dye your hair?" I said, "No, I don't dye my hair." She goes, "Where's the grays?" I don't know. They're all still in there, and hey, there's a couple here and there. You have children, and the grays are bound to show up.
But they're gone now. I'm looking at it right now. So here you go, folks. Live your dreams, and you get younger, and the grays go away.
Absolutely.
You smile a lot, and you laugh a lot, and you share your music a lot. I think there's a correlation here. So tell us. So all of a sudden you decide, okay, yes, wife, you're right. I'm dead inside. So I'm gonna start playing guitar.
Well, no, actually, I've been playing guitar for 30 years. I went to go see Pink Floyd The Wall in 1980 in concert in Los Angeles.
Okay.
Went home the next day and forced my father to get me a guitar for my birthday. And I picked it up, and, it was love at first drum, but it was a hobby. It was something I did for fun. I never wanted to get out and play in front of people. Quite honestly, I was terrified about playing music in front of people. I used to have the best concerts in the safety of my bedroom at home, but it wasn't something that, when I left the corporate gig, I did make a CD for fun. Sueños Infinitos means infinite dreams. I wanted to cross it off the list of things that I've accomplished in my life, and, I didn't intend to sell it. I ran 1,000. I gave them away to friends and people that I knew, and it was something I did for fun. When I first left the corporate gig, I started doing golf and speaking events, of all things. That's another story in itself.
I was about to say, what were you speaking on?
Well, it was really about conveying life lessons, and an enlightened approach to creating success and using golf as a metaphor. Golf has been used before as a metaphor, Legend of Bagger Vance, Golf in the Kingdom, as a way to convey life's truths. So I thought, I was really into golf at the time. I said, I'm going to do that too. And it was funny because I remember working with a lady out of Beverly Hills here who was helping me develop my speaking material. And I sent her that CD, Sueños Infinitos. After about a month, we've been working together. And she calls me up. She goes, "What the hell is this?" I'm like, "Oh, what are you talking about?" She goes, "This CD." I said, "That's my CD. I wanted to send it to you." She goes, "You didn't tell me you played music." I said, "Well, no. What does that got to do with my speaking?" And she goes, "Everything. You've got to start doing music and speaking together." And my first thought is, what is that lady smoking up there at night? I go, how could I ever go in and speak to an organization with a guitar?
With a guitar.
I'm like going, they're going to think I'm freaking crazy. But, you know, she had her ways. She used to like to torment me in certain ways. And
God bless her for doing it.
I started doing music and speaking talks, and then before I knew it, nobody would call me about golf and speaking. It was always about, "Hey, could you come to your music and speaking talk? The play beautiful music throughout your life and all that kind of stuff." So it kind of took on an action of its own. And like I said, this was even before I discovered the healing qualities in the music.
Like living in divine right order or something like that.
I guess.
Crazy shit. Okay, so this is before you discovered the healing and frequencies in the music. Because she wasn't the only one that heard something in the music. Somebody else heard it and said, but who carried different kind of clout. What was that about?
Well, it's interesting because there's a funny story behind it. Once again, I come from a very left brain, corporate background. And here, go figure, the CEO goes and marries a doctor of metaphysics. My wife has a doctor of metaphysics, and she'd always been telling me for years, you're a healer. And I'm like, don't tell me about that stuff. That's the kind of stuff they take you out in the backyard, they tie you to a tree, and they set you on fire, man.
Not anymore. Here we are.
I said, I don't want nothing to do with that. She goes, don't you think that's kind of an overreaction? I said, no. She goes, I think you might have a past life issue to resolve. And at that point, she sent the poor corporate guy down the hallway with his arms flailing up. Don't talk to me about that past life stuff.
I can't wait to meet her. You know that.
She's really been an instrumental force in my life, and I'm very blessed to have her with me. So one of her friends, one of her, I got to say, roofy, woo-woo friends.
I knew it. Okay.
Invites me to come play music at their open house, and I'm done playing, and she comes up to me, and she goes, "Oh, my God, I hear tones in your music." And I'm looking at her, my first thought is she's going to get weird on me.
I love it.
And the second comment out of her mouth is, "Nobody can hear the tones but me." And then I'm like going, I knew it.
She's weird.
And then I go, yeah, I heard some tones too back in the 80s, hanging with my buddies, listening to Pink Floyd with the lava lamp and drinking beers and stuff. And she goes, "No, I'm serious. Well, let me get a copy of your CD. I want to connect you to these scientists." And I gave her a CD, like, "Here, take it, leave me alone, don't freak me out anymore." I went home, didn't think anything more about it. And a couple months later, I get a call from a gentleman, Dr. Ronald Jones, former consultant to NASA, microbiologist, quantum physicist, served on the team that developed the MRI machine, worked for the government as a consultant to NASA for health and wellness for astronauts. And he was really a very quite talented energy worker.
And he got your attention all of a sudden.
Yeah, he got my attention, even though I still thought he was crazy.
Because he also did energy working. Okay.
Well, not so much that, but, it's like what happened was he called me up, and he said, "Listen," he goes, "we've found some very interesting qualities in your music. We want you to bring your guitar, come to this lecture, and check it out." Okay. I show up at this lecture, and they're doing demonstrations in the front of the room, and their hypothesis was this, is humanity is exposed to thousands of energy interrupters in our environment. 60,000 man-made chemicals in our air, food, and water, all of our electromagnetic fields that are being produced by our technology are all impacting our energy. Quantum physics basically states that we are energy, that we're actually expressions of this field of energy, whether you call it God, life, source energy, the field, whatever it is that works for you. And that, like a radio station, we're receiving signals from the field. Well, if you're tuned into 95.5 and listen to the radio and there's all kinds of static, what's the quality of the information that you're receiving? He said all these interrupters are causing static in our quantum field and inhibiting our connection, therefore resulting in stress, health breakdowns, physical disharmonies, we're not reaching our potential consciousness-wise. And Doc personally believed. He said, hey, until we enhance people's connection to the field, humanity is never going to reach their full potential on a health basis, on a physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual level. So they invite me to this lecture where they're demonstrating how things we use every day compromise our energy, like cell phones, laptop computers, a rag that had furniture polish on it.
Really?
A cup that had one time had gasoline. The biggest guy in the room, 6'5", former football player, ripped muscle guy, is going weak when being exposed to these things. Never seen anything like it. Quite honestly, I was blown away.
Wow.
But what really got interesting was when they said, Mark, come up here. We want you to play your guitar. I thought I was going to go there to play during donut time or something. You know, I get up there, they pull me up on stage.
You have no idea who you are still, right?
Not at this point.
Okay.
And I start playing, and all of a sudden, where everybody was going weak, all of a sudden they're not going weak anymore. In fact, their strength, their flexibility, their endurance, their coordination, their balance, all instantly increased as soon as I started playing. I'm like going, what the heck is this? Quite honestly, it's kind of freaking me out. I think I want to go home and pretend this never happened. And so I did that. Until about 2 months later, Doc calls me up. He said, listen, we've done preliminary testing on your music. He said, when your music plays in the environment, he said, it actually enhances people's energy, resulting in an increase in strength, flexibility, endurance, coordination, and balance. He said, through brain mapping, we're able to show how your music puts the brain into a harmonized state, which was a state that we had identified with athletes in the peak performance zone. And he said, thirdly, and most importantly, is that the body and the brain maintain that state when being exposed to the energy interrupters in our environment. So he's like, going, voila. He said, man, he goes, we've been looking for you, because quite honestly, the first time we'd ever seen this experience was from Paramahansa Yogananda chanting. We'd gotten a recording of Paramahansa chanting, and they noticed that there were shifts in the physiological aspects of the body, but also in the brain. And Doc was kind of a comedian guy. He's like going, you know, he goes, this is really great, but we can't make people listen to Paramahansa chant. Maybe we should go find music to see if it does the same thing.
Wow.
And that's how we got connected.
Wow.
So it was really kind of an interesting twist.
That is interesting. You know, I have a twist here. I've been burning the midnight oil and the 3 a.m. oil and the 5 a.m. oil and been running out of oil, frankly. And but I just keep plugging away because things are happening at Life Changes, and we're excited about that. And so when I was getting ready to work on the show here a couple of days ago, you had different clips of your music on the website, and I'm just charging ahead, and I think I clicked on the sleep one or something like that, but because the next thing I know, I was out. I mean, I was out. And then the only reason I woke up is because my head hit the computer. I mean, it didn't actually hit, but it did one of those things, and I did a backlash. And I'm like, whoa, what was that? And then I'm like, oh, Mark Romero, of course, Mark Romero's stuff. Of course it works. Of course it works. And so, anyways, I wanted to find the stuff that would keep me awake so that I could keep working, although that's not the best thing for my body, I guess. But so I already had a test with your music, but I understand there's another test coming. So whenever you're ready, should we do a song first, or do you want to do a test first, or?
Well, you know, we're going to need to be able to play the music here and turn it on and off if I'm going to demonstrate for you.
Okay. Well, that's still working. So I'd rather hear you live, so we'll get to hear you. And before we do, I want to remind everybody that this is Filippo with Life Changes with Filippo, and you can hear more about us at lifechanges.ws. And learn more about us. And actually, you could also learn about our guest today, who's Mark Romero. And Mark has a couple CDs out. One is called Sueños Infinitos, otherwise known as Infinite Dreams. And the other one is Beyond the Wall. He is founder and CEO of a company that has proprietary sound and therapy technology, which is actually through music. So we're going to hear some of that music right now that he is going to play for us live in the studio with his guitar. So here's Mark Romero, and if I remember correctly, the song is called Self-Love?
Self-Love it is. Let me give a little background. When I found out that the music could null and void energy interrupters in our environment, one day Dr. Jones asked me a question, and he said to me, he goes, Mark, he goes, what do you think is the most powerful energy interrupter in the universe? And, right away I'm thinking with his background with NASA, I'm thinking gamma radiation, something cool like that. And he said, no, he goes, would you believe that the most powerful energy interrupter in the universe is our own limiting thoughts, beliefs, and perceptions?
Oh, wow.
And I'm like kind of going, that's interesting. So I'm going, well, I go, wait a second. If this music can null and void energy interrupters in our environment, why would I not be able to null and void the energy interrupters that are in our own heads? And then what could open up from that process? And this was really the basis of the sound therapy technology. So I started creating musical prescriptions for people in my coaching work based on challenges that they were facing in their life.
Interesting, like the musicians I was talking about at the beginning of the show.
Absolutely.
You and I hadn't talked about that. That's
No.
really interesting.
So,
wow.
And that I was digging the story because I'm like going, wow, because I'll talk with somebody and I can see what it is that they need, and a key will pop up in my head.
Really?
And I'll start playing a song, something I've never played before, and that would be their musical mantra or musical prescription.
Wow.
And then I would create a protocol for them to start listening to these pieces of music, playing them in the environment, and people started having amazing shifts and breakthroughs. So one of the most common pieces of what I find with people is the need to love and appreciate themselves at a higher level. And so one of my most often shared pieces are, forgiveness, self-love, and so it sounded like a good piece to play for tonight.
Absolutely, actually. So what could we expect to feel?
Well, it's different with everybody. I think the important thing is for all of us that are on our journey in life is, no matter where we're at, is there's always the capacity and the way to love and appreciate ourselves for who and what we truly are at a higher level. And this music is really composed with that intention behind it. So, what I always invite people to do is, hey, just listen to the piece, take some nice deep breaths, see what shows up for you. Any insights, any physical sensations, any ideas, write them down, take action, and see what happens and what shows up for you. Because, we're in a collaborative dance with the universe. And, it's one thing to have an intention, but at some point, you've got to get off your posterior and go move forward. And it's through that process that the miracles show up. Through that process, the synchronicities show up. Through that process, the breadcrumbs from God show up and are going to lead you on the path. So just take a couple of deep breaths, listen to the piece, and just observe yourself. See what shows up. Perhaps maybe make a commitment to love and nurture yourself at a higher level. And we'll meet on the other side of the piece.
This is Mark Romero with Self-Love playing live in the studio on his guitar.
That's right. self-love.
Mark Romero playing Self-Love. Now, is that on one of the 2 CDs that we mentioned earlier?
Actually, it's not. It's actually out of my sound therapy library, and it's a piece that's shown up on my self-empowerment series, which are really musical prescription series. These are series designed to, in this case, live a more self-empowered life. Also, it's also in my healthy relationships aspect, because if we're going to have a healthy, loving relationship, you got to have a healthy, loving relationship with yourself. So it's really something that I use more in the higher levels of the work. The entry level is really like working with the music, like on Sueños and Beyond the Wall, and that really helps to create that environment where people can carve that space where they're not being interrupted by all the stuff that's going on in life. And then if you really want to take it to the next level, that's when you can start getting into the musical prescription series, where we start working with the energy interrupters that are within our own heads.
So how does one work with you or your music? So first of all, I'm sure everyone that heard it felt something, and like I myself wanted to breathe more, like I wanted to take bigger breaths, like I felt like I wanted to expand. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Well, you think about it, most of us go through life, we're stressed out, we're caught up with all the hustle and bustle of the day, and many times we forget to breathe. I mean, literally to breathe, and to process energy and move energy within us, we have to breathe and really aerate.
Aerate, huh? I was de-aerated.
Yeah.
De-aerated. That doesn't sound right.
It'll work for tonight.
Okay, so obviously people can get your CDs and just play it in the background, I guess, and in meditation. There's a deeper way of working with you and your music. Tell us about that.
Absolutely. Well, like you said, people can start in the entry level, which is, there's really 4 CDs that are the foundation of the system. Sueños and Beyond the Wall, which are music CDs. You play in the environment, you play them in the office, you play them while you're driving in traffic, to help you to reduce stress, to remain grounded. There's another CD called Tranquility, which is music for your own meditation, your own prayer time, your own internal practice. And then my wife, Dr. Lara, and I combine to do guided imagery processes. Her forte is taking people through guided imagery processes to help them align their chakras, their energy, optimize their energy. So there's another 4 CD called Prosperity, which is all about processes to help you create a more prosperous and fulfilling life. After that, that's when you start getting the higher level systems that you can engage in, which are music and systems with an intention behind, to create more self-empowerment, a healthy relationship, or to sleep better now. In addition to that, I also do one-on-one and group session work, and those are pieces that, where I work with people and I create custom protocols for them based on where they're at in their life. And then my favorite personal thing is to get out, speak and share, demonstrate, but then to work with people right in the office or in the audience. I go and I work with people in a room, and I do group sound therapy programs where I'll actually compose pieces of music on the fly based on issues that show up. So those are really the main ways. So group programs, one-on-one and group teleconference coaching, and then the musical systems and music CDs themselves.
Wow. So how do people get a hold of you? I know your website is markromeromusic.com. Is that where they've learned most about you?
Absolutely. There's a lot of demos on there. There's videos. There's tests that show the demonstrations in the music, how it shifts your physical energy. There's lots of little free downloads and little motivational, inspirational movies.
Pictures of you with celebrities.
In fact, it's so funny. My web guy goes, "Hey, this picture of you, man." He goes, "Is that you with Willie? Is that Willie Nelson?" I said, "Yeah, that's me hanging with Willie at the Hollywood Bowl, man. It was a really cool experience. I got to meet Willie, So we had some fun. So yes, there are a few celebrity shots and stuff. But the website's a great place to go. There's lots of demos. There's lots of wonderful pieces that people can engage in and learn more about the science and the music. And that's, like you said, www.markromeromusic.com.
Okay, so you also, besides the celebrities that everybody knows, the people in this group would know, like Marianne Williamson, who has said that you make gorgeous music. I mean, people, scientists and people that we don't necessarily know, but one would understand that they have an authority on this subject, are saying this stuff works.
Absolutely. You know, I think personally myself that vibrational medicine is really emerging into a whole new era where music and sound therapy is just going to become a mainstream tool to help people deal with the challenges of life. And, you know, I've kind of taken on my own personal mantra, you know, because typically you think of sound healing and sound therapy as being kind of esoteric, you know, and new agey. And I'm like going, you know what, I want to take it mainstream. I want to get this music playing in businesses and organizations and really start creating some shifts where I feel it really needs to happen. So I've kind of committed myself to engaging in that. And, you know, my personal goal for this year is to touch 1 million lives with music and sound therapy.
You know, you actually already are speaking to a lot of corporations. How are they receiving you?
Well, you know, I think they're kind of going, okay, this is interesting. Where's the test results and the studies? And Joe Schmo implemented this and grew their business by 80% in 1 year. You know, so I still have some work to do. You know, but I'm getting out
in
there.
order to prove to the skeptics. But your work it stands alone.
Absolutely. Okay. And you know, I'm not even trying to prove things. You either get it or you don't.
Good for you.
You know, so it's like I went in and I presented a friend of mine at a Rotary Club. Doesn't get any more old school than that.
Right.
And I tell you, they loved it. They ate it up. You know, 50% of the group bought CDs because everybody's dealing with stress. Everybody's dealing with anxiety and fear, you know, with all the rapid changes that are taking place. This is a way to remove the static out of your life. And you know what? Listening to music is so much better on the radio without static. And, you know, and the same thing, like you were mentioning earlier about our bodies, receiving in signals, receiving in signals. Hey, if we can get the static out of the way, what can we receive? And what could potentially open up for us? That's what excites me.
And well, what's exciting to me is that you're reading my mind or something. Obviously, we're being two radios here that are communicating, because I was going to say, okay, so you mentioned earlier like cleaning fluids and gasoline and even, which I never really thought of. I would think that bothers you, but energetically that makes sense, but I'd never really thought of it that way. But let's take it to something that is kind of obvious now, to me at least, music. Other kind of music, or every other kind of music. So if you're listening to bad music, or I don't know how to say bad music, but music that doesn't make you feel good.
Right.
What's that doing to you?
Well, there's been a numerous amount of studies, you know, everything from the effects of rap music or music created with hate and malice, you know, the intention behind it. I once saw a lecture where a famous sound therapist, scientist, said that music is a carrier wave for intention. And, you know, what is our intention that we're putting into music? And that it's very important, you know, to, you know, from my standpoint, when I'm working with these pieces, that's what's going into the piece. What comes out and carries that. And music has the ability, no matter what kind of music, to penetrate someplace within us that we can't get to from words and, you know, the linear left brain. Music can bypass all of that. And in my mind, true change happens in one place, within. You want to change your life, you change within. Sound therapy and this music can open the door to creating that change for you and opening that space where you can create tremendous breakthroughs in your life easily and effortlessly.
Well, you know, actually, you said you wanted to test me, and we've got the song all queued up. As long as it doesn't take more than a couple minutes, we can...
Well, either that, or if you want to just play it, or, you know, if you want to experience I
want an experience. I'm all for it, and this is probably a perfect day because it's been busy with meetings and all kinds of stuff. So I've been kind of frazzled, and you know what? I didn't take any time to center myself before the show, which I usually get to do, and so this is perfect. So here we are. I'm raw, and I'm.
So what? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a balance test. We're going to see how your balance
Was
is.
I just rationalizing why I'm frazzled or something?
I didn't listen. We just laughed and chuckled, so you're good.
All right.
So what I want you to do is I want you to face that wall.
Okay.
Come a little closer to me. Put your feet and toes together.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply downward pressure in his hand. You can go to the website and sign up to see these tests and demonstrations. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you grab my fist.
Okay.
I'm going to apply downward pressure in your hand, and I want you to stay stiff, resist. Don't let me bend you. Don't let me tip you. Become inflexible like the oak tree. Sound good?
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Resist.
Okay. I just fell over.
You just fell over quite easily.
That was not hard.
So what we need now is we need a little music playing, and we need to be able to hear it.
All right. Well, Seth, our engineer, will go ahead and play the music.
Are we going to be able to hear it?
Yes, as long as he can make us hear it. Right, Seth? And this is
there it is.
track 4 off of Sueños Infinitos.
Come on over here. We're going to repeat the test.
Okay. Wait, the song hasn't played that long.
Okay.
Really? Okay. Yeah. I am freaking standing like a rock. He is on the floor blinking at you. That's even perfect. Trying to pull me down, but I'm not even budging. The song hasn't even played. That is okay. That's all I needed. I mean, I'm glad we did that.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Now, if he stopped the music, Seth. By the way, thank you. Stop the music. If do I stay in this balanced state, or
You have to be exposed to it over a period of time.
okay?
It's almost like meditating. You meditate every time you bring something back with you from when you meditate. Same thing with the music, because I could retest you now and you're going to fall right over it.
I'd like to see that,
Okay,
actually.
feet and toes together.
Okay, I'm standing feet and toes together, solid as a rock.
That's right. You ready?
Sure.
Resist.
Okay, and I just fell over right into him. Okay, Seth, if you don't mind playing the music again, probably from where you started, doesn't matter. Let's just see.
Skeptical, huh?
Yes!
There it is. You don't even help you here.
There's the music.
You ready?
Yes.
Resist.
Oh my God! Standing solid rock. All right, well, what can I say? Except MarkRomeroMusic.com.
Yeah, there's videos on there. There's all kinds of tests you can do. And that's the thing that's so cool is that you can actually physically experience it. You go, wow, okay, something's going on.
Wow.
And you just experience it yourself.
Right. And I thought I was pretty balanced.
So probably from lack of sleep.
Yeah, really. All right, you're all ganging up against me. I see it now. But I'm trying to do something good for the world.
That's right.
So, Mark, it would be great to have you at a live event one of these days, because I could just see the people really getting into this. And your information is so great, and obviously your music works and is and it comes from a place. It comes from a special place. This is not just by happenstance that you pick up a guitar and this is what comes out. So
it's been a process to step into it, and I'm still learning things every day of how to utilize it, how to maximize it, and how to make it so beneficial. But it's I have a friend of mine. She says, "You know what, Mark? It's a no-brainer. People want to improve their lives, and they go and engage in courses or whatever, read books and stuff." She goes, "This is just play it in your environment, and your life will be improved." She goes, "It doesn't get any easier than that." And that's the beauty of it.
We're all looking for magic pills. Well, this is something you don't even have to swallow, and if you did, it goes down real smooth.
That's right.
And it's literally music to the ears. So I am excited that you were on the show. Actually, if you could go and play music for Dorothy after the show and make her cough go away, we would really appreciate that.
We could work on that,
but,
absolutely.
I know you could. I believe you now. And I am so grateful you've been on the show. We're on the show with us tonight. And, again, looking forward to connecting with you some more, my friend.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been fun.
It has been fun. That's rock. He's solid as a rock. He's Mark Romero. And MarkRomeroMusic.com is where you can learn more about him. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Stick around so we could have a little bit more fun after the show in just a couple of minutes. But we bring on now our very own Dorothy Lee Donahue, who will make it without coughing throughout her whole How to Be the Change You Wish to See in the World segment.
What a great show. I wish we had gotten that on camera. That was quite something. Yesterday, I had a great day. I went to a grand opening for a spiritual community center, and I met a wonderful young man. When it came time to dedicate the new space and all were invited to come inside to participate, Alexi came in and stood at the back of the room. Several times during the ceremony, we were asked to make eye contact with everyone in the space, and each time I looked him in the eye, I felt a very special connection, and I knew that we were also connecting heart to heart. And I knew that he felt the very same thing. And I wondered how he came to be at this spiritual event. There were some very young children laughing and playing outside in the sunshine and running across the grass, giggling and laughing. And he was just as serious as the rest of the very much older people inside. He was waiting for me when I walked out the door. And I asked him, "How old are you?" He said, 13. And I said, "How did you get here?" He said, "My friend Jimmy." And Jimmy was at least 30 years older. I said, "How much did he have to pay you to get you to come?" And he laughed, and he said he wasn't doing it for money, that he'd always been interested in community, and he thought this would be a good thing to check out. He said he was waiting for me because he knew I had something to share with him. And I asked him how he knew, and he said, "I just know some things." So I thought this would be a very good conversation, because when I ask most of my clients questions, they say, "I don't know." So I began asking him questions like, what is it that you've come to do? If you could do anything at all, what would you be doing? If you could go anywhere in the world, where would you go? If you could be anybody, who would that be? And he surprised me. For some young man who knew things, he answered his questions just like all of my older clients do. He said, "I don't know." And we had the most astonishing conversation after that, because I told him, "I know you do know." And he began to answer with his knowledge and his knowing. We do have all of the answers within. And the challenge is that once we cross through this veil of forgetfulness, we begin to be programmed by our parents and their parents and our extended family members, society, school friends, teachers, church, doctors, and almost everyone outside of ourselves to believe that we don't know anything, to believe that we have to be taught everything. However, the truth is that we're powerful beyond imagination and that we can tap into the mainframe, that we have the ability to get the answers to all of our questions. Now, some people call this mainframe God. Some people call it the Akashic Records, or our higher selves. And there's even a man out there on the internet, 83 years old, who can sell you a course on quantum jumping. And he tells you how to jump into alternate universes and have conversations with alternate versions of yourself who are already successful as writers, actors, photographers, whatever you wish to be. And then you jump back into this universe with the knowledge from your alternate self. Well, you can pay him lots of money, or you can begin to meditate to our beautiful guest music and have conversations with your I am presence and get the answers that are available to you from that part of you that is God. This is what Abraham Lincoln did, and this is also what Thomas Edison did. They took naps, at least that's what their assistant said, but they weren't naps at all. They would ask questions and they'd sleep on it. And they'd wake up and they'd have solutions to their problems. In the last 3 months, I've suffered from lung problems and have barely been able to get through a 5-minute talk. I was having such bad problems that I thought I was going to die. And I got so bad off that I went to the doctor. Now, that may sound funny to some of you, but I'm a healer. And so that was my last resort. And being sick was becoming very embarrassing. And knowing that disease has an emotional cause, I had tackled my whole life over and over. And I had cleared so much stuff, and I couldn't believe there was anything left. So last night, I asked God for a final answer, just like on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. And the answer I got was black mold, which is a situation if you've had a flood in your home, that mold can build up, and it causes you to cough up blood and lung problems. And I was told that it was in the bathroom, in the shower, above the shower. And I asked my roommate, my friend, and he said, yes, it had flooded there long before I moved in. I thought that was very interesting because it was such an explicit answer. And when I asked where the money is, they say it's here. They haven't said in the attic or under the floor. They just say it's here. So I'm going to ask tonight to be as explicit. So I had asked for confirmation. And when I was talking to a new client today and started coughing, he said, you have a black mold problem. It's above you in the shower. So that was really amazing. And now I can get that taken care of and move on. So again, all of this to say, the answers are within. Ask the right questions. We have the ability to connect with our higher selves. Each of us do. And I finally did ask the right question last night. Just as I asked Alexi to do, I ask each of you to say instead of, I don't know. When asked a question you think you don't know the answer to, start off your answer with this. I know this much is true. And you will find, I guarantee, that you know more than you think you know. And if you still don't know enough, take a quick nap with the intention of waking up with the answer. And always remember that you are the power in your world. You are the guru you've been waiting for. You are the only one who can end your suffering, and you can only do this by beginning a love affair with yourself. Choose to become a very conscious co-creator and never forget that you are powerful beyond measure and that you are loved. You are lovable and you are loved.
Thank you, Dorothy. Well, today has certainly been about self-love, and it certainly has been fun. Our guest was a hoot. Mark, no, a hoot is not the word. I can't believe I said that. I don't know what I'm thinking. He was great. I've been called worse. You've been called worse. There's nothing wrong with a hoot, but at least I didn't call you a hoot and a holler. It was just a hoot. No, anyway, you could start with as simple. You could start working with his music just as simple as getting one of his CDs and playing them in the background, doing whatever you're doing. Again, he was Mark Romero, and his CDs that I'm holding in my hand, Sueños Infinitos, otherwise known as Infinite Dreams, and Beyond the Wall. So we thank him again for having been on the show, and hope to get to work with him in the future in a live event. Remember, you can keep the conversation going during the week by visiting us on our website at lifechanges.ws, and also on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and I'm sure soon to be many more other things. Today's show has been made possible in part by our sponsors, Ionways Water Systems, Change Your Water, Change Your Life, and Love and Miracles. To learn more about them, visit our sponsor page on our website and click on their links. I am Filippo Voltaggio, and it has been my pleasure being of service by hosting Life Changes with Filippo today. I, along with our segment hosts, Dorothy Lee and Mark Lejour, and our producer and our engineer, Seth, thank you for joining us and being part of this show and being part of the change we all wish to see in the world. Ciao, everyone.
You have been listening to Life Changes. Join us here every Monday night at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and visit us on the web at lifechangeswithfilippo.com. That's Filippo, Filippo. And follow our community on Facebook at Life Changes with Filippo. Join us here next week as we consciously embrace and explore the only constant, life changes.